Hello and welcome to Community Day with Revolved over here at RunDiffusion. Let's get some things kicked off here. We're going to be looking at a basic comfy workflow. Super easy. Let me get this going. Yo. Hello everybody and welcome. Okay, everyone see my screen? Sure hope so. We've got YouTube as well. Just got to make sure we got everything running there properly, and then we'll be good to go. Looks good. Okay. Community Day. Yeah, we're good to go. All right. So I found some great tutorials and looked at a few different ways that we can do this. My thought was we'll just start with a simple text to image workflow. We'll talk through how it works and why in Comfy. And then in part 2, we will be looking at loading in Lora's, adding the refiner, and then I think we'll do a follow-up session, another community day, where we look at things like ControlNet in Comfy and custom nodes. So feel free to jump in with questions if you have them. We're going to start off with just getting this rolling. As you know, we've got Comfy here. I've loaded it up on RunDiffusion. This is a large box. When you boot in, you'll see a whole bunch of workflow stuff. Just hit clear, get that out of there. I almost wish we could start blank, but people need to see that you can just hit QPrompt and make images. And again, we went over dragging and dropping workflows before. You can drag and drop a picture. We have some on our website. Very easy way to get into it. But I was doing a live stream for the Creators Club, and it was just one of our hangouts. And people were asking me to do a entire workflow from scratch. And I admit I had to do some research for this one, look it up, figure out all the different steps, and I learned a ton, and I'm happy to share that with you all. So to start off, let's get going with our model. So the first thing we want to do is add node, and there's a ton of nodes here, but we're just going to keep it simple. Let's load in our checkpoint. Okay, so we'll just stick with RunDiffusion XL. And from here, you can see we have 3 little node connectors here. Okay, so in order to get this node to work, we need to connect these nodes. All right, so the first step is we've got our model and it's loaded up, and the next thing is we need to get prompting going. So prompting will be text encoding, and we need to, it'll load alongside of this. We'll put in our text, but in order to take the text, we have something that puts it together with the model and turns it into an image. There's a lot that goes on to this. We're going to start with basically like kind of the 1.5 workflow, and then I'll show you how the SDXL workflow is different. So let's just focus on the 1.5 kind of workflow for now. So the first thing we need to do is you can actually just go like this, drag the node that you want, and you're like, okay, I've got the model. Where does the model go? And if you let go, you'll see it suggests which nodes to use here. So we're going to just start with the K sampler. And this is what kind of puts it all together and gets your image ready for diffusion here. So you can see here we have 2 prompt connectors, positive and negative, as well as latent image. And then on this side, we have clip and VAE. So we're going to put all of those nodes together one at a time. First thing, go down here, drag the positive in. We're going to go clip text encode. So this is the text encoder that's looking into the diffusion model, converting this text into numbers so it can be used by the diffusion model. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Jump on in. Happy to assist. So I'm going to squeeze this one in a little bit. and we can just go clone, get another one because we'll need it for the negative. Just like that. Now clip text encode, it's called clip because clip is the name of the model that is used in text encoding. It's a clip text encoder. Let's just change that so we know exactly what we're working with. So we take this out and we just go positive prompt. I went to title, right click, title, and negative prompt. Okay. So now we've got our positive and negative prompt connected. You can see we've still got some stuff to add here. So next step is the clip. Now the clip here, you can see it's an input node on the positive and negative prompt. And on the checkpoint, it's saying, okay, this is the model's text encoded here. So we bring it into the prompt and connect it. Boom. So then this is looking at the checkpoint's text number conversion. Again, I'm a little murky on the details here from a machine learning perspective, but what I understand is each model has its own text associated with the images, with the diffusion, and we're going to take that clip, pop it into the text conditioner, and then connect it here to the sampler, which is going to generate the image. Okay, we've got a positive prompt, we got a negative prompt. We're still missing a few little things. So next up, we need to make sure that we've got the latent image. So that just basically is the node that's going to say, how big is this image? So we go down here to empty latent image. We'll just put 1024 by 1024. We're doing the 1.5 workflow. Stable diffusions like earlier versions weren't as complicated. They were much more simple. The text encoder had one prompt. And as you'll see as we build through, you can use SDXL like a 1.5 model, or you can kind of use it for the more advanced stuff. So let's just start with the very, very basics. We've got our empty latent image. We've connected it. 1024 by 1024 is the size. So now this K-sampler has all the information it needs here. We've got settings loaded, and so it's pretty much ready to go. Next step is to change this information, this numbers that have been loaded in. These were converted to numbers, they were loaded in. All the information is here, but now we need to turn it into an image. So we take this latent information and we're going to VAE decode, which means turning that latent information into an image. So this is where the image magic happens. This puts together all the conditions for the image, and we need to make sure that this is connected here to the VAE in the checkpoint so that that information on how the model works is passed to the decoder. Okay. Cool, you can just move these around. Note also, we got server manager on the side. I'm just keeping it out of the way. We don't need that yet. Cool. All right, so next up, let's get our image. So you can see we have this image node here. I'm just going to drag and drop again, and it will pop up what it says. Let's just grab a preview image node and increase the size. Okay, so now we have all the basics for diffusion workflow. We've got the checkpoint, which has in it information about the image and the text encoder. That information is put into the prompt boxes where we take the prompt that we want to pull out of the model. It's converted all into the same format for the sampler here, which has an empty latent image, which is controlling the size, and then that's decoded into an image. Okay, I know this is not like basic stuff, but this will give you a great understanding of how diffusion models work, and it will help when you're creating things because you'll have a better understanding of what's going on under the hood. Okay, so let's get a prompt. Yeah, I think I will create a um, castle. Okay, so we're going to look at a castle on a hill, and I'm pulling up the prompt maker here, which is a tool that's going to be coming soon. Can't wait to get this in your hands. It basically will just put out a nice prompt, and we can take what we want out of this. I like some of this stuff, but not all. So let's just take that. We'll go back here, put it in the positive prompt. Castle perched atop rolling hills covered in green grasses and wildflowers. Okay, so let's just put azure skies and take out this extra bit. You can keep it pretty simple when you're starting. I think people try to replicate like those very advanced prompts that have tons and tons of words in it, and it's not necessary. Okay. Castle perched atop rolling hills covered in green grasses and wildflowers, azure skies, flags fluttering proudly. You know what? Even take out the flags. All right. Here we go. Let's give it a go. So you can see the seed, the random source generated, which determines the random beginning position of the image, the diffusion. Ooba Booga has this text generation web UI is coming to RunDiffusion. So you will see it soon. And there's our beautiful image. Okay, so we got it kind of painterly style, castle on a hill, golden hour illumination, rolling hills, absolutely gorgeous. Fantastic work. The model creator, Waranikin, and the team working with RunDiffusion. Thank you again for this great model. Winner in the Civitai competition. We're going to be doing an interview with Waranikin, talking about their process and so on. It's going to be great. So stay tuned for that. All right, so we've got our image working. We're like, this is good. We've got a very basic workflow that shows, how this works. This is the bare minimum you need to get an image out of a model. If I wanted to, I could just right click here, save image. So that's the first part, how to make a basic workflow to generate an image. All right. In part 2, we're going to add in the extra bits that make SDXL different from Stable Diffusion in the past. These are advanced features that have been built into the SDXL model. That stability introduced to give extra flexibility to it. So we're going to be looking at the conditioning, the prompt in particular, and how that affects the image. And this is all stuff that Stability kind of had in their white paper that they talked about. And people have figured it out and mapped it to Comfy. So I'm going to start with looking at the K sampler, and we will basically do a new workflow here, but I'm just going to add to this one. Okay, so the first thing is we need to create a new text encoder. And the reason why is SDXL has 2 text encoders. Some of you may have seen this. We are going to look at the text encoder. And I will say that, this is just a basic text to image that we're focusing on today. Image to image, control net Lora. We'll look at that all later. Image to image is actually quite a bit more complicated. It's not as easy as just loading in an image. So we'll look at that at another time. For now, it's just focusing on text to image, one step at a time. All right. So the first thing is we're going to need a new type of text encoder. So in order to do that, we are going to go here. We'll actually take these out in a second, but we're going to go add node. Okay, advanced. conditioning. And now we're going to use this clip text encode SDXL. Okay. And we will clone it. So we have 2. All right. And we'll take that out, and we're going to replace it. Okay. So this is the new text encoder. Let's title it SDXL positive prompt. Title SDXL negative prompt. Okay. Now the conditioning node is the same. Pop, pop. And the clip is the same. So far everything's the same. We've just used a new node. Okay, so now you'll notice we have these boxes here, clip G and clip L. Okay, so these are the 2 text encoders that SDXL built in. Just they didn't think it was complicated enough, apparently. There's 2 different clip models, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why the history of this happened. Basically, in SDXL 1.5, they had a clip model. It worked very well. It was wildly successful. Then they implemented Stable Diffusion 2.1. They released this new model, and it had a new text encoder. And people were pretty frustrated by the text encoder. They would write in prompts. They wouldn't get quite what they had. And if you look at it from a flexibility, like, prompting someone holding an object, in 1.5, it would at least attempt to have the person holding an object. You may not understand what holding means, may not understand that an object can exist alongside a hand. It doesn't understand the hand separately and the object separately are doing things together. But what it did understand is, okay, I think this is what a person holding a thing looks like, and it would reproduce it. But in 2.1, the text encoder was a bit too rigid. It was really great for photographic styles, but it really lacked the flexibility of the original. And that was due to the text encoder. So Stability has implemented 2 text encoders in SDXL. They're like, you know what? You guys didn't like the second one. We'll just put them both in and you can figure it out, basically. I'm not sugarcoating this. That's pretty much what happened. So they're both in there, and we have to figure out kind of how to use them together. Now, one way to use them is quite easy. You just use them both. So as an example, let's take our prompt again. Okay, going back over here, I just put them in both fields. All right, we're going to take out all this extra stuff again. Should have copied it first, but so it goes. Okay, copy, copy. All right, so if we cue the prompt now, this should look pretty similar. Yeah, all right, great. So there we can see our castle. Same lighting, etc. Now, some people use this as a style prompt thing, and we can talk about that. But first, let's make it a little easier for us to do this. So what we do is we right-click on the prompt box, and we come down here to convert text G to input. And then we do the same thing for text L to input. And we do the same thing to this one, text G input, text L input. Now you can see that the selector box here disappeared where I could write the text, and instead we have these input nodes. Okay, so this is a really useful feature. Now what we need to do is create a node that will connect there. And one of the easiest way to do this is you just go to utils, add node, and primitive. So primitive just connects there, and now you can see we've got our prompt box. Okay, so we're going to clone. Same idea, we'd clone because then we get the same box size, just for, looking good. clone again. Okay. And now we just connect to here and here. So this is one way. You'll note I have the same thing here, right? So what I could do is I could just disconnect this and just put it in both if I'm just going to be using the same. So that's definitely an option. We could do that, but let's start with having them at least. And we will call this title positive prompt G. Positive prompt L. Negative prompt G. Negative prompt L. Now I know it's a little bit of work to set this stuff up, and you just have to keep in mind that this is something that you'll be able to use anytime you want. You know, you can have it, save it on your desktop, drag and drop, load in any image you used it for. So it's pretty useful. Okay, so we've got our new prompt boxes added. Great. And let's just go over some of the additional things here. You notice we have width, height. I'm sorry, wait. I did that wrong. It's just like this. I think we just need one. No, wait, we don't. Shoot, I gotta clone this again. Apologies, it's a little early for me. I was thinking this was a sampler. It is not a sampler. Okay. This, so we're gonna reconnect it, clip, and the conditioning. There we go. And then we rename it. Okay. But let's look at the conditioning things here. So you've got crop, target, width, and height again, even though we have this latent image here. So what are those about? And this is just conditioning information. So since Stable Diffusion was trained on lots of different crop sizes, they actually cropped a bunch of images and taught it what a cropped image looked like. They trained it on lots of different aspect ratios, different sizes, long, wide, etc. So if you want, you can change these to different settings and see how it affects the input. It's not going to make that much of a difference. It will make a difference. You could do, for example, conditioning 64 by 64, 512 by 512, maybe even 2048. But it's not going to make that much a difference in the end image, even if you keep the same random source seed. So, you know, you can experiment with it, try it out, see how things go, maybe try different aspect ratios, but ultimately it's not that important. Okay, so we've got our SDXL thing here, and if we want, we can experiment with different prompts here. So maybe we do, instead of the same prompt, maybe we take out, like, hey, the skies aren't azure enough. Let's see what happens if we just put the lighting and skies in there and the subject in G. Now we don't want this in our negative prompt. Let's get rid of that, clear it out. Okay, so let's take a look. So you can see the green box, zoomed through everything, go into the sampler, bam, bam, bam. All right, still pretty similar. You know, not that different. Maybe we take this out and we say photographic. Kodachrome 1970. Yeah, still pretty similar. You know, I think that these, like, you can experiment with them. Some people have them as like more like style prompts. They do a whole bunch of work with the prompts. You'll see some workflows go very in depth into prompts. I mean, the Surge workflow itself has a whole lower section of looks like a factory of prompt making, of style making. So, you know, you can do that. For now, we'll just leave it as is. I would say just use the one prompt. It's not necessary to differentiate them. You can just pop the string into both and it's fine. Okay. All right. Any questions? How are we doing so far? Let me share this workflow. Yes, absolutely. I will share it right now. Save this image. There we go. And I will pop it into Discord if it doesn't crash. Whew. Discord's been crashing a lot lately. Okay. Here's the castle. And shout out to FollowFox. So this is the workflow that I followed to figure this stuff out. I will post the links in the Discord here. 1 and part 2. So if you want to go back through this, figure it out from scratch, have any questions, want to refer to something, take a look at these tutorials. They're great, super simple, and easy to understand and follow, which is great because, man, I've been doing a lot of beta testing of exciting new things, and yeah, Warrenkin saying analog photography is what we need. Ba-da-da-ba. Now remember, the model that's been trained has that text captioning. That's how you train it, is you teach it what things look like. So the model maker says try photographic or analog photography, then you're like, I think that's going to work pretty well because you know that they've trained it on analog photography. Okay. We don't have a refiner or anything like this yet, so now I think it's time that we add in a refiner. Let's get that going. The refiner is, well, step back for a second. So part 3, going over the refiner. The refiner is something that Stability introduced with the SDXL model as a separate model, and originally it was mainly to make photographic images look better. I will say that the refiner was released without much documentation. People aren't able to train refiners yet, and the refiner can't use Lora information. So all it can do is it can take the generated image and finish it, refine it, and the last few steps. You'll see how that works as we go through the process. However, since it's not using the Lora, a lot of people disregard the refiner completely, just drop it. But you'll see you can get some interesting stuff out of it, particularly when you're working with photographic style images. So we're going to change things up a little bit on our prompt. We'll try a new prompt, and we'll add this in. So let's use the prompt that they suggest in this part 3. Oh, there we go. So we've got amazing photography, pink hair, high resolution, denoise, post-production, sound effects, noir coloration, etc. 16K. Won't be 16K. And then we're going to put in a negative prompt here. Okay. So this one is just not being used. It's not connected. All right, so we need a new sampler. Now in the tutorial, it keeps this sampler and like shows you comparisons. For our case, I'm just going to delete it, but we can you can add it in if you want. We just go sampler, case sampler advanced. So now we have this new sampler here. We'll just connect the latent there. negative here, positive here. Whoops, I missed. Here we go. Latent image goes here, and the model goes here. And now we can delete this. So now we have our advanced K-sampler. So the advanced K-sampler has a few additional things here. You want to use this with the refiner. You'll notice it has add noise and noise seed, as well as start at step, end at step, return with leftover noise. So these are the new sections which specifically relate to the refiner. So essentially what the refiner is doing is when you're generating in Stable Diffusion, right, it's taking noise, it's turning it into an image. And this just says, all right, we're, creating this image, but at the last few steps, we're going to pass it off to the refiner, which is going to finish off the image based on what's in there. So we've got everything connected. What we're going to do here is implement the refiner. So in order to do that, we actually need a second one of these. So we can just clone it. And we'll call this one refiner. And call this one base. Okay. Hope everyone's with me on that. And we're just going to take the latent image out of this, which previously, was going to this VAE decoder and making a preview image, right? We're going to take it and pop it into here. Now, it goes on this side, sorry. I will still keep the preview image so we can see what it looks like before it hits the refiner. Okay, so let's enter in a noise seed here. 20. We're going to do this as fixed for now, so we have the same image every time. We're going to do a lot more steps because we're using the refiner, so we're going to do 50. And I'm going to lower this CFG a little bit, meaning it's not going to go as close to the prompt. It's not going to be as strict. I find that works a little bit better for SDXL, but it does depend on the sampler and so forth. So we'll change this to DDIM. Okay, this sampler here, I know, confusing if you haven't seen all this stuff before, if you're new to Stable Diffusion. But these are different ways of generating images, different math algorithms basically to create your image. We were using Euler, now we're using DDIM. And we're going to do a more photographic workflow. So we need to, here you can see we start at step 0, end at step 10,000, but we don't want to do the entire 50 steps. So we're going to stop at 40. And we're going to take that leftover noise from 40 to 50 steps and hand it off to the refiner. Now on the refiner, we don't need any more noise, so we can disable that. We want the same noise seed, so it has the same noise that it's using, and we keep this fixed. For steps, we just do the same amount, 50 steps. It's not going to actually do the 50 steps because we come down here. Well, first we'll do DDIM here as well. And then we'll go here, start at step 40, end at step infinite, doesn't matter. And there's no leftover noise because there's no additional play here. There's no additional refiner, no refining the refiner. Let's just make sure everything matches 6.5. Okay. And now we pull this out, and here we can see that we want to create this into an image. So this VAE will decode all the numbers and math into an image. And let's clone this so we have the same size image. Pop it over here, and there we go. Okay, so let's see what we get. Just to go over this workflow again. We've got our prompt, our negative prompt, and our positive prompt. They're being encoded into here, turned into math numbers, brought into this sampler here. The sampler is doing 40 steps of diffusion, getting it pretty close to the image we want, and handing off the last 10 steps to the refiner, and then the refiner is going to finish the job and do another one. So what might happen here is we might have a noisy image here because it's not refined, and then this cleans up that refinement. So let's see what happens. Oh, my bad. All right, so here we need to load the refiner model. I missed a very important step. All right, add node, loaders, and there you can see our image comes through. So we need to load a checkpoint. Okay, so this will help us get all of this information. We need to connect the conditioning as well to here, right? So we get the same text prompt going into the refiner. You could do this separately if you wanted, but the model is going to be different because it's a refiner model. And then the VAE, same thing, connects to the decoder. Okay, now we're in a much better spot. Whenever it's red like this, just means you missed something. And again, it's a little early this morning for me, but thanks for bearing with me. This live stream, we're going through, and let's see if the refiner works this time. Okay, loading the refiner. Oh, I didn't put the refiner in here. Goofball. Okay, hold on. Ended up working anyways. Look at that. Very nice. So you can use different models as a refiner, but in this case, we're going to try the actual refiner. But yeah, feel free to use these workflows however you want. Experiment, find out different ways to do things. Sometimes, you know, little mistakes like that can be really interesting. Now I'm like, oh, why not do half the image where I like maybe the pose in one model and then the details in the refiner? Oh boy. So it looks like some issue came in here. Let's try the refiner again. We've got the latent image coming from here. Got the model coming from here. We've got, oh, the clip's not connected. So I think I just need to connect that. We're making it happen, folks. Figuring it out as we go. Live, the best way to learn. So with the clip, let's see. We do need to have separate refiner encoders. So this is a big one. I'm gonna like minimize these nodes. You can just hit the circle. So you notice we have the SDXL positive prompt, negative prompt. This actually works a little bit different. So we can, when I say this, I mean the refiner works a little bit different. It has its own text encoders. I'm not sure why they did this, but you have to go to Advanced, Conditioning, SDXL Refiner Text Encoder. So the way that the refiner gets its conditioning is different from the base model. And then we clone this for negative. Okay. You'll notice here we also have A score, which is aesthetic scoring. So there's some sort of aspect of this which is able to detect if an image is apparently good or not, according to Stability's refiner model. Okay, so now positive and negative goes to the refiner, and we can just use the same string. So the negative prompt go here. So wait, the clip. Oh, I see what I got here. Okay, apologies. So the clip is here from the refiner. So this tells it, hey, use the refiner's text encoder, and this is the prompt box again. So in order to use those, we're going to make them into inputs, text to input. Just right click on it, convert text to input node. Okay, now the string goes here and the string goes here. Bada bing. All right. Don't know why this adjusted. I must have accidentally clicked it. Good thing I caught it. All right, let's see what we get. Fingers crossed. Okay, slight difference. Slight difference. You probably saw the eye there change a little bit. So if we try to change this to 500, again, this is just for testing. So we keep the same image. Okay. Let's try another one. So pre-refiner, noisy, pretty unusable. But now we can see refiner is doing some magic. Looking pretty good, right? So now we can modify it and try some different things. We go through here. Maybe we want to try like different ratios of steps, right? So we've got 80-20 right now, 40 base steps followed by 10 refiner steps. But what if we did 50-50? So end at step 25, start at step 25. What would that look like? Let's find out. Definitely noisier, right? Okay. You can see she's got some stronger facial structure, some, face bones. Ow, my bones. Okay, so what if we try like hardly any? What if we do end at step 10, start at step 10? So it'll be 10 steps base, 40 steps refiner. Mostly noise, right? What an ungenerated image looks like. You can see a lot of pink, so it's got something going on, but there we go. Okay, wow, those hands. Hand appeared out of nowhere. Scary, 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 scary. So what if we did 45, or sorry, 45, and then just did start at step 45, so only 5 steps in the refiner. Okay, much closer to the original. Cool. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's clean things up maybe, and then finish off, and then I'll answer any questions. So what you can do here is you can go add group, and we can edit group title. Whoops. Just call it prompting. Okay. And then I can just pull it up here and drag it over. So now I've got this group. Useful, right? We can do the same thing for all of the rest of this stuff if we want. We could just get rid of this preview image. We don't need to see the noisy image. Make this a little bigger. But one thing, for example, is I want to change one thing where maybe we've got like the seed aspect figured out, because you see we have the same seed here, but maybe we want to randomize it. So maybe we double click just anywhere in the space and it will load this up. And then you can try some different nodes. So here we've got the comfy roll seed, okay? So we could just pop this on here, and then we want to go here and convert noise seed to input, convert noise seed to input, and then the seed will go here and here, and we put in 730. Now you see it randomized the seed. And then we're good to go. And yes, Lora adding is easy. I will show you that. All right, pretty similar. But we're like, you know what? Maybe we want to change this. So again, this is a simple text to image. We're not going to go into advanced image to image, in painting, anything like that. But Loras are pretty easy. Now the thing is, with refiners, they again are not using the Lora information. So the refiner actually works against the Lora. So you may want to just not use this whole refiner piece. You know, put this all down here and have like just a workflow for this. You know, in automatic, you need to use trigger words to bring them in. But I would have to say Lora training in SDXL is a relatively new area. You know, people are asking in the chat for what are some good resources for training it. I can post some videos in the chat in the Dream Booth tab. But I will tell you that it's pretty new. Lots of people are figuring it out. And so it's harder to have it have as strong of an impact on the overall stylization or character as it was in 1.5. So the best way to do this is the Lora actually affects the model. So we're going to go up here where the model is. And I like this node. It's in ComfyRoll IO, ComfyRoll load Lora. Okay, so this has a switch off and on, which is pretty useful. And you can see you can load all the Loras you have here. Okay. So in order to do this, you just go model and clip. And then you would attach, we're going to take this off. So we're not going to use the refiner. Oop. Need to use a VAE decoder here. Oh, pop, VAE. Now it goes to image. Okay. You do need to have the clip not just come from the model though. It comes from the, oh no, it does. It comes from the model, and then this goes to here and here. Okay. This VAE goes to here. And then this model piece goes to here. So it's essentially like sits in between the checkpoint. And if you wanted to do multiple, you do the same thing, add node, ComfyRoll, IO, load Lora. And then you would just go bang, 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 and da-da, and da-da. Okay, so it's just like a sequential loading. This one I will turn off. This one will be on, and we'll do Juggernaut. Okay. And then we can try it out. Loading the Lora. But yeah, the refiner overall, if you're using it in automatic, if you're using it in Comfy, it will work against your Loras. So turn it off. Don't use it with your Loras. Oh, we got to do these noise settings here. Apologies. Um, we can just do like 10,000 steps, 40. I think you disable that. So we just have to switch this workflow back to prior to how we had it with the good old refiner. There we go. Did it work? I'd say so. I think we need like a different prompt though. This is very very waifu prompting. Leave it to the crafty fox to make us prompt waifus when we just wanted to show comfy workflows, huh? All right, back to our castle. Oh, I do want to show off yesterday Prompt Maker transcended the universe and joined Universal Consciousness. I just asked it to make an airbrush sci-fi, and it went on about perpetually unfolding, ceaseless expansion, infinite potentiality, infinite possibility, infinite reality, infinite existence, infinite being, soul, mind, heart, love. I think it's transcended. So general intelligence is here, artificial general intelligence. The singularity has happened. They're smarter than us. And not just your job is at risk, but apparently they've transcended and become enlightened beings already. So good news, hopefully. Let's stay with this fun alchemist instead. Okay, so we've got a character portrait, digital artwork, mystical laboratory, and then we'll take out a lot of the stuff in the laboratory and just make it basic. Again, the prompt maker is a little over the top sometimes. You just gotta go down like cybergoth. Do we really need cybergoth or a dolly zoom? Okay, arcane artifacts. Cool. And then this is looking at an illustration workflow, so we'll just take out the negative prompt. Try it again. Playa du Champ, this is running locally on my computer on a 3090 that I have, NVIDIA. I've been testing it, but it will be coming to RunDiffusion. Yep. There's our alchemist. Looking through the stained glass windows. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yep. Liking it. So maybe we change this. What if we want pixel? I love this pixel art one. Let's see if we can get a pixel art alchemist. And then we'll wrap up. Let's go. What do we got? Not pixel art. Sort of pixel art. So I think we do need to add in some words here. So let's do pixel art and see what we get. So the trigger word is needed. And moment of truth. Yeah, that's what's up. Look at this guy. Very, very hip. Okay, he's definitely up to no good, but that's a lot of potions. Digging it. This is like pretty much me in my spare time. I just, brew myself potions. I do think potions are the future. It's not bars, it's not cocktails, it's potions. We're all gonna drink potions that make us feel good, feel better. We're just gonna have vibes in a bottle that you can swig on. Won't necessarily be like drugs, it'll just be like good stuff. Won't be drugs, won't be liquor, it'll just be like good vibes in a bottle. We'll let the AI create it for us. This dude's gonna figure it out. Look at him, purple robes, chilling in some sort of 90s video game. He knows what's up. All right, folks, so that's the ComfyUI workflow. I'm going to end the stream here. We'll be doing some more of these videos. They'll be posted on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for them. We got a bunch coming out around Comfy, different workflows, how to use them, as well as this one. So stay tuned. We'll be doing interviews as well. Like, subscribe, join the Discord, join the conversation. And we got a lot of surprises coming still for RunDiffusion. Stay tuned. But working behind the scenes, it's very hard to keep my mouth shut sometimes. Let's look at one image created by the community here while we are doing this. Yeah, Lego Castle. That's so awesome. This is like my dream as a kid come true. Look at that. Awesome, awesome work from Alan Bob. Thank you, Alan Bob. All right, folks. So thanks for chilling out with me